2013's pre-dinner thingy, as we're calling it. So this is a little bit unusual. We've done dinners before with talks, right? But because of the venue we're using, we can't do a dinner talk. And we had this unusual opportunity. It pretty much happened that Pia rang me up and said, hey, I've got a couple of people who want to gate crash your dinner. And I thought, oh God, here we go again. But then she told me who they are. So, what do you do when Simon Hackett, the founder of Internode, and Robert Llewellyn, the guy who plays Crichton on Red Dwarf, want to gate crash your dinner? So of course you say yes, right? Now I've got a couple of slides once you guys finish, but go for it. Yeah, we'll play by you.
Hello everyone, we'll see if this is working. Oh, I think it is. Done the classic photo. Is this thing on? Yep, you're there. Hi, it's really good to be here, and thank you for the rousing round of applause as we wandered in. We just passing, I thought we'd drop in. I'm really happy to be here, and we've just been doing an interview next door with Tim Berners-Lee that will turn up on the interwebs later, so there'll be some more interesting media for you guys to see. But just between, we stand between you and the buses that are going to Mount Stromlo. And
that's fine.
Yeah. So I can say that Robert Llewellyn is more interesting than a bus. That's a good start. As you heard, Robert is arguably someone that needs little or no introduction to a room full of geeks. He is often wearing prosthetics things, although with this sort of beard has also turned up in other TV programs like Scrapping Challenge, a favourite of my kids. And even a more subversive favourite of my little kids, MI High, if any of you have kids that know about that little old show. So welcome to the robot Prime Minister, not merely the robot on Red Dwarf. But one of the things I thought I'd do just for a few minutes before we talk about Red Dwarf is actually mention that Robert is in fact an author. And he's written a book lately, and I'll get him to tell you about the book for a few minutes. And you'll kind of see the relevance in the sense that life, the universe and everything and technology gets more interesting as we get older.
Oh, thank you very much, Simon. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here. So yes, I wrote a book a couple of years ago, which was, for a start, the actual publishing experience was very different. It's a crowdsourced published book. it was published by a group of authors and ex-publishers who formed a group called Unbound, which I'm involved with. So it was a Kickstarter for books, and it was a very exciting project to be involved in. The book I wrote is effectively science fiction. It's set 200 years in the future, only instead of it being a story of Armageddon, post-apocalyptic doom, zombies, Mad Max, the list is very, very long. This is a book where, and I say use the term science fiction, it is science fiction, where the human race get it right. That was really the essential thing that I started out doing. I wanted to write the antithesis to all the dystopian fiction that we are bombarded with on a regular basis. And so it is set in a world where there is effectively not really an economy, where the generation of energy doesn't require any fuel because we use renewable energy that's very advanced obviously by then. And one of the things we've just been mentioning with Sir Tim, it was the concept of a kind of completely embedded internet. It wouldn't be called that, it's just stuff. It just recognises when you talk and it responds appropriately and it knows what you want and it does things. There is a moment when the hero who comes from the present day is impressed with all the technology in the kitchen and he says, "Brilliant," because he's English, "Brilliant!" And he's immediately dazzled because the lighting becomes so intense. And then he uses some inappropriate language to express his dismay at that. So it's essentially a person from the present day who is deeply nerdy. He flies an electric aeroplane, which is one of the connections that I made with Simon. He flies an aeroplane that does exist now. It's called the Unique E430. It's a battery-powered electric plane. I'm very involved in electric vehicles and renewable energy in the UK. And that's basically it. So it's the first of a trilogy. I'm currently halfway through the second trilogy. I'm not trying to encourage you to support the book, but if you do Google News from the Squares, you'll find the Unbound site and you can buy it before it comes out. I'm still writing at the moment. If you pay enough, you can actually be in the book. And use your name as one of the characters. That's one of the things we're doing.
Yeah, and in the world that Robert envisages, it's not clear what the internet's called anymore, but we all know what operating system it's running, don't we?
Hey.
Yeah.
It's Windows 95, actually.
Exactly. Robert, tell our fine simple people a little bit about Red Dwarf, though, because that's probably the thing they'll enjoy.
Well, you won't have heard this, an obscure British comedy show series started in the 1980s.
How on earth did you wind up there?
Well, it is bizarre. I mean, in 1988, I wrote a play that was at the Edinburgh Festival that A, I wasn't meant to be in, I really didn't want to be in, and B, I really wanted to be, those of you who know W.H. Auden, that was my hero. I wanted to be an old, fusty academic with a tweed suit, smoking a pipe, leather elbow patches, and write novels and plays. And maybe be on sort of arts programmes late on a Sunday night. Essentially, poetry is such an erotic force. That's how I saw myself. And I ended up being a square, rubber-headed nutter that looked like something out of a 1950s fridge. So it was a bit of a comeback. So it was never intended. It wasn't my ambition to do it, but once it started, it just carried on. And so in 1989, I was involved in Red Dwarf for the first time. Very much thinking that this was the last series that they'd ever make. We had a big party at the end of the series in 1989. Everybody said that was it, 3 series on the BBC, that's as many as you do. And it's now 24 years later and we're still making it, so that's a bit of a surprise. It used to be the... They were often referred to as the boys from the dwarf. We've now slightly outgrown that. There are a couple of rather cruel sequences in the latest series, which I believe is going out on the ABC at the moment, where we're running away from danger, and it's essentially Dad's army in space by now, so now we're running away. So we're not going quite as fast as we used to, but it's great fun to do. We're actually all, 3/4 of the cast are here. We're appearing in events in Melbourne, Sydney and Auckland in the next couple of weeks, which is great fun. So in fact, Craig Charles is already in Sydney, so Sydney's clearly in danger.
Are we going to see more series of Red Dwarf?
There's nothing confirmed yet, but we are confident that we will be making more if we can keep going and keep wearing the makeup and the silly hair and the age stuck on the forehead. Yes, there's hope to do it, but there's nothing official announced yet.
And the other thing I need to ask about Red Dwarf, it's really an authenticity check, which is, so do us a Crichton. Otherwise we don't know if it's really you.
Ooh, what's this building called? Llewellyn Hall. Extraordinary. What a lovely load of geeks.
There's my new ringtone.
I find it very hard to do unless I'm covered in rubber.
And other various groinal attachments.
Yeah, I haven't got a groin. I can't do anything without my groinal attachment. I just feel naked.
One other thing that Robin and I have in common very much is electric vehicles. Indeed, it's how we came to meet, is being involved in the electric vehicle fraternity in various ways. Tell us a little bit about that. What are you driving these days?
I drive a Nissan Leaf, which is an amazing car. I've driven just before I left the UK. We just passed 24,000 miles in it, and the batteries have never run out while we're driving. I mean, obviously they get low and you have to recharge them, but we've never sort of run out on the side of the road and done the classic Clarksonian predicted thing of going, I can't plug it in! I've got to wait 90 hours for it to recharge! Just get in it, drive it and come home and plug it in. I actually have a garage that is plugged in and there's solar panels on the roof of my office and that helps charge it. And then I went to Simon's house and I felt very depressed, envious and bitter. Because he has an electric car, a Tesla Roadster Sport, slightly faster than the Nissan Leaf. And he has has enough solar panels to cover half of South Australia. But other than that, we're like brothers.
Oh, you forgot to mention the home battery array.
Oh, the home battery array! When he opened the doors, I felt a physical, visceral, furious envy when he opened his home battery array. Because that's once you've got solar panels, all you want is a home battery array. I'm going to get one somehow. I've got 2 children. I can sell one of them.
And one other thing I might mention that we did when Robert was in Adelaide, because we came over from Adelaide yesterday, was I actually took the man flying in a glider, which was a new experience for him.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
It was lovely. It was wonderful. It is an extraordinary experience. I've never been in an done any unpowered flight before. So there was a moment, actually before it happened, as you were preparing to turn off the engine, I was experiencing deep terror. Sphincter tightening beyond the call of duty. And then nothing happened. The engine stopped and nothing happened. We just went, and it was absolutely freaky. And I did think any minute now we're just going to... But then Simon did the most gentle little divey pulley up thing. I mean, seriously, not like huge dramatic aerobatics. And I get airborne Tourette's. It's very embarrassing. I tried to control it. We only had a couple of seconds of quite severe airborne Tourette's, but my previous experience in small aeroplanes was in a Red Bull aerobatic plane, which I was filmed in for a TV show in the UK, and then I got a severe case of airborne Tourette's. In fact, I proved to the director who'd asked me not to swear before that you can do 4 or 5 minutes solid expletives with no joining words. Yes, but it was good. I got over a lot of my fear with it. It was fantastic flying with that. It was wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yeah, and for people that are interested in electric vehicles, it actually tends to extend from the notion of trying to run the planet without having to burn things, which is what Robert's book's about. And from my point of view, it's actually an example of solar-powered flight, because the ground heats the earth and you go fly from this thermal. So it's actually a very sustainable way to fly, albeit that when the sun turns off, you tend to have to land somewhere. So not necessarily all that reliable just yet. And Robert was actually, he was videoing it on iPads. He was actually throwing it up on the web. I think if you Google you'll understand why from that story, unpowered fright. You will find the vision of that.
It's just been tweeted.
It's just been tweeted. Of course it's been tweeted, yeah. We are pretty close to saying anything new in the buses, I think. How are our organisers feeling? Where are they? Are they hiding?
They're hiding.
They ran away.
Tell us on time, people, where are we up to?
So it's a 1:15. Do we want them to keep going for a little bit?
Yes!
Now we have to think of something to talk about.
Yeah, it's not going to signal that you've run out of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Another few minutes of stuff.
So, yes, the other thing we can talk about. So have you got one? Oh, good. Have you got something?
This is probably going to work terribly for lack of mics, but okay. Give us one burning question. They have the internet on computers now, and I hear it's called the NBN. Yeah, come and talk to me afterwards. But it's marvellous, and we should have one. There should be an NBN. It's good.
Me too. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
When are you going to have Clarkson on Carpool?
Just repeat the question.
I'll explain quickly. I do a series called Carpool, where I pick people up in either a hybrid or electric car, and we just have a conversation. It's not really a talk show because I can't remember any questions. I'll just give you a quick reason as to why. When I first did it, I was very nervous, very anxious. I wanted to get all the questions in right, like a proper interview. So I stuck a small printed out version of the questions on the centre of the steering wheel. Couldn't be seen on camera, perfectly fine. Yeah, then I turned a corner. So I gave that up very quickly. I have, in fact, been through the channels to try and get Mr. Clarkson. He actually lives quite near me on the show, which would be very amusing because I've been doing a lot of the shows in a Prius, which, as you all know, is his favourite vehicle. In fact, I've always said it's one of the reasons they've sold so many. To Toyota very sensibly never got upset about it when he slagged them off, you know, and after they sold their 4 millionth Prius, I think they've been proved right. I have met him. He's terrifying to meet in real life, but very, very funny. And I think Stephen Fry, who was a guest on Carpool once, expressed it very well, that he's the most bigoted, outrageous, reactionary beep, beep, beep I've ever met, but he's very funny, and that's what makes him tolerable, and I totally agree with that. I defend his right to have his obnoxious, right-wing, stinking, bullying, racist views. I think they're fantastic. Yeah, we don't have a great deal in common, me and but he did, when I met him, he was like up here, he's a very big man, and he just said, "What do you drive?" First thing he said to me, and I said, "I don't believe you really say that." And no smile, nothing, just, "What do you drive?" And I knew that I was desperately recommending, I do have a very old Land Rover, so I said, "A Land Rover, good car, good British car. Has it got great big knobbly American tyres that only a beep, beep, beep would put on it?" And I had to say yes.
Well, we might do one more question from the Hawaiian shirted gentleman there and then go and let you get to your buses.
Yes.
What's new? What's coming up in the world of EVs?
Well, lots of. Well, I think the one that's just about to hit the UK, which is essentially technologically exactly the same, it's just enormously cheaper, is a car called the Renault Zoe, which is starting price is about £14,000. And when electric cars have generally been in the £25,000 to £100,000 range, that's quite a big change. So, I mean, a man to watch, Google or listen to or look up is Carlos Ghosn. With two people really that are at the very forefront of this. Carlos Ghosn runs Renault Nissan. I've interviewed him, he's on Fully Charged if you want to see that, but he's also an extraordinary man. And obviously Elon Musk, who runs Tesla. So I mean, I think the Tesla Model S, which Simon and I have got some plans to do some Australian filming with, hopefully, good luck, is an extraordinary vehicle, absolutely a game changer. And everyone that sees it, even the most devout petrol head, see that car and go, "Oh, I see." "Oh, you mean like a car? A proper car that goes along faster than a BMW of the same size." You know, and that's the thing, is that they're better. You know, that's the only way to. That's the way I describe electric cars. "Oh, you mean electric cars? But the better ones." That's really a good example. I can imagine doing journeys across Australia. It's a very different country to the one I live in. It's a challenge. I don't see it as impossible. I see it as a challenge. But you know, it is something I think we need to. I don't see electric cars are not the solution. They're not going to save the world. They're not all those things. But they point in a direction that maybe we should be thinking about. And I think that's really what they are.
And I must agree that the Model S is an amazing looking car. They turn up in this country later this year. I'm very keen to see them turn up because guess who the number one ticket holder is to get? Very keen, and yeah, hopefully we'll go for a driving one. Yeah, sorry. Or rather, you'll get to go for a driving, that's right. And they're just tremendously game-changing cars, and there's every YouTube clip showing a real amount of camera view from a Model S of it leaving something behind. Yeah. Stacks up. People are starting to realise that sexy doesn't have to be noisy.
Yeah, there is a new, I don't know if it was
a Viper,
but it's a drag race against a Dodge Viper. Well, I drove it. I got a speeding ticket in California from driving a Dodge Viper. They're not slow, and the Tesla Model S, a sedan, left it standing. I mean, they are extraordinarily quick, and it's not a racing car. It's a you know.
No, but it's electric, and that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So one other thing I will say is we are coming to dinner with you guys. So be gentle to us. There's only two of us, but we're definitely coming to dinner.
So I think we should probably head in the general direction of dinner.
We should get on the bus. Yes.
Could you help me in thanking, could you help me in thanking Robert and Simon? And don't forget. No, you people have to stay for a second.
Don't go away.
So we fielded some questions about our delightful shirts, and you can't possibly have a party without a party shirt, right?
Do it again!
I'm glad inside, right? So the plan is, you jump on buses now, we take you to dinner. As you get off the buses, someone lovely is going to hand you a hilarious shirt. If you choose not to come to the dinner, that's fine, you can collect your shirt tomorrow. So that's really the only other announcement I have. And now it's time for dinner.